And what is going on, baseball fans? Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing? What is going on? Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing well, buddy. Just had to unmute myself. I'll talk. I'll jump in. See what's going on. Good start to the week. Wednesday. Now we're at the middle of the week, hump day. Happy to be here.
Oh yeah, that's right. This
Everything's
is the
good.
first time on Hot Takes. So, in case anyone's wondering, this is actually the 20th episode of Hot Takes. I was kind of setting up everything earlier. I'm like, oh, it's number 20. Look at that little milestone. I don't know, is 20 a milestone or is it more like 25? I don't know, whatever. But hey, we got to the 20s, so pretty cool. I remember when I did Hot Takes, I'm like, man, I don't know, I need like some kind of content or something. I got to figure something out. And I was like, hey, you know what? Make this like a weekly thing. So here we go. But in case you are just coming in, usually Josh and we are doing the week ahead on Mondays. But now that I'm doing the Red Sox podcast, I've had to kind of move some things around. And the easiest way to do it was to just have Josh hop on with us Wednesday night and talk hot takes. And honestly, I think that's going to be a pretty fun dynamic. I've been reacting to all these hot takes, so it would be nice to have someone else there too. And, could create some conversation, could create some debate on some of these. I think it actually could be a pretty fun dynamic overall. Maybe one day the week ahead will come back. It was had a strong run there for, what was it? 8 weeks, I guess, 7 weeks or so. But it was fun. Maybe one day it'll come back. But everyone, how are we doing? I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces here. Mr. Chicken, what's going on? Brendan, one of our members. Ethan, hello. Wolfpack, Luke Walker, John Sullivan, hello. Brady Johnson, another one of our members. What's going on, my friend? How you doing? Rackshit, Meineke Man, hello, hello, hello. Lionheart 70 is here. What is going on? How are we doing? But and Nicholas, one of our moderators, is here as well. So, alrighty, let's kind of just dive into it. We got a few good ones, and it's crazy how with baseball, Josh, we've watched a lot of baseball during our time, and it's crazy how 1 or 2 weeks the script can just completely change. The Angels being the main example. It's funny because we were just talking about them, and maybe that was a good time to end the week ahead, but because we were both just very wrong about that, so we got put into the grave for that one. But no, I mean, honestly, what are your thoughts on the Angels? Just, it's like, I thought I was right there with you. I'm like, I think they're going to be fine. But what are your thoughts on the whole thing? We haven't really talked about it even off camera.
No, I mean it's been crazy to see like what they've gone through, because I know at the beginning of the season we were like, oh, ho hum, the regular old Angels just getting off to a rocky start. They went on a run for a while. They were looking awesome. And then, last Monday, we literally were saying, I, out of my own mouth, said I could see them taking 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. I mean, I definitely could have, having them right the ship at that time, and they just weren't able to do it. I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, they got hammered. But the surprising part to me is the fact that it's just an overall team effort. Like the team just was not coming together from the all-stars of Ohtani and Trout. I mean, Trout was like 0 for 26 at one point.
Right.
Now he's hurt. I mean, just like absolutely was not. I mean, even in that series, Trout was just looking a lot of times lost. Like, you saw him in at bats just like taking strike 3 down the middle. It was like, who is this? Like, what's going on? Because he is known for him just like putting up great at bats, putting up, just awesome attempts out there. He even had some mistakes out in the outfield as well. He just didn't look like himself. It's like something was up. So I wonder if he was actually hurt during that time. But kind of getting back to it, the Angels just went on a slide, and I guess they figured out as a front office, like, hey, we're going to have to do something now. Like, we don't want to lose this team and just continue to slide. They did end up losing another game. They lost that first game after the switch, but kind of surprising to me because Madden was a guy that they were targeting heavily after he got basically told by the Cubs, like, we're not bringing you back.
Right.
They were strong suitors for him at that time. I remember it was all over everywhere.
It was like the missing piece.
Yeah, MLB, ESPN, they thought that this was the guy. This was the guy that was going to be the missing, the missing piece is the strong manager after, Socha ended up being done, under that regime with the Angels. And he was just this missing piece, and he was going to just take this team to the promised land. And I think you may have been cut maybe a little bit too soon, but when you're sliding like that, just completely off a cliff,
Right.
something has to happen. And that was what they ended up seeing. That's what they ended up doing. I could see it. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, we got a comment in the chat from Ethan. Firing Joe Madden was a mistake, a wrong move. I could see that being the case. I could, because you got managers in the game. Like Joe Madden, like Joe Girardi, like Tony La Russa, like Dusty Baker, these lifer managers, there's not a ton of them out there. There's not a ton of them out there. I could see them maybe kind of switching between these teams, these managers. But when you let one of these guys go, who are you replacing them with? And is it going to really make a difference? Because these guys have been doing it. Madden was taking the Rays, to really turn the page with them.
Yeah.
Madden won the World Series with the Cubs. Just a different brand of baseball that, he runs, but it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
Yeah. And, I wanted to, before I forget about it, Mike Trout in last night's game, he actually strained his groin.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's not playing tonight. I actually have not pulled up the lineups. But yeah, he tweaked his groin. Oh, let me actually see. Is there any update on that? Mike Trout.
He's day to day. He isn't in the lineup.
Yeah, day to day. Okay.
Yeah,
so
he's not in the lineup today.
Kind of, me and you, we had our days where we were, banging and clanging in the gym, and some weeks we were just really not feeling great. And then eventually, if you just kind of keep going at it, you end up tweaking something. I'm wondering if Trout was just, I don't know, feeling kind of run down, and he was just trying to push through it. I was told, or not I was told, but I listened on Nesson last night that he was taking BP on the field, and I didn't know that about Trout. He never likes taking BP on the field. But he did that yesterday to try and, just, how baseball players are. They like to try something different. Yeah. So it makes me think this guy's probably been really pressing, maybe in the cages and whatnot, and just ended up tweaking his groin. So I think he's just been probably pretty run down. I think the groin thing could end up being probably the best thing for him. It helps him. It's going to force him to take a step back for a couple days and kind of just give his body a rest, honestly. So I think that could end up being a blessing in disguise for Trout personally. But getting back to the lineup, I was talking about this. I went live yesterday. I won't go too much into this, but I was saying I feel like the whole team, I don't think it was a manager thing. With Girardi, it just seemed like he was just showing up to work and just not enjoying going to work. Like he just seemed brain dead on some days. Like he just wasn't really happy. I don't know, like post-game stuff, not a lot of energy. I was saying this about Girardi yesterday, and with Girardi, full of energy when he was with the Yankees, getting that running out onto the field. You never really saw that a lot with Girardi on the Phillies, just kind of hanging back a lot. And so I wonder, even Harper, I guess, I saw that Harper said something kind of like he threw some shade. I guess I didn't see exactly what he said, but I saw that he may have thrown some shade at Girardi a little bit. But I don't think Madden was the problem exactly. Like, at least I don't think the team had any bad morale. I think just the whole team was just a mess. You got injuries all over the place. Taylor Ward, Ohtani and Trout, those guys were ice cold. Pitching is a little run down because they've had to pick up the slack for this bad bullpen. So they've been trying to get a lot more out of their starting pitching. I just think the whole team was just a mess overall. So, it's usually these teams can get it together, and they just thought Madden wasn't the right guy, to get them back on track. I thought last night they were okay. They were going to pull out a win, but my Red Sox ended up coming through there. So in the end, I think I actually wonder, I wanted to ask you this. Do you think Moreno, the owner, do you think that a lot of that came from him, or do you think that was more of like a GM kind of a call? What do you think personally?
I don't know. As far as like, would that come from Moreno or the the GM at that point? I just feel like they probably met with Madden
Yeah.
and just said like, hey, we got to turn this around. Like this team's not supposed to be losing 12, 13 in a row, like going on this
Right.
long of a losing streak. And just made the decision like at that time, it's just the best to move on. I do think it's going to end up biting them in the long run. I don't think going on a 12-game losing streak warrants him losing his job,
Yeah.
especially because they're not that far out of it.
They're there.
They're 9.5 out. Like I will say this, they're 9.5 out of the division, but they're not that far out of it in terms of like, oh my gosh, we're 10 games under 500.
Right. And they got the
We're
wild card,
just,
obviously. So
yeah, exactly. We're just like taking our lumps right now.
yeah. Yeah.
But you can go on a streak. They're in a weak division. Other than Houston right now, they could beat up on the Rangers. They could beat up on the Mariners. They could beat up on the A's. They're playing these teams a ton going forward. There's a lot of opportunities for them to get some wins and turn this around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those like, man, did you overreact? I mean, like, I know now they've got Phil Nevin at the helm, but what's Nevin going to do that Madden was not doing? Like that's like an interim thing. It's like till the end of the year, but I would still rather have Joe Madden through the end of this year than have them, let them go at the end of the year. If they don't make the playoffs this year, like, hey, Joe, listen, this team should have made the playoffs. We got to let you go. But after a 12-game losing streak, your team's reeling. It could have been an owner thing at that point. That could be something I could see like a George Steinbrenner doing, like a book, like a page out of his book. Like,
yeah,
hey,
and I could see Moreno maybe doing something like that, being like, hey, you know what? Because Moreno's he's one of these old school kind of guys. He's been around for quite a while. So I think it definitely could have been like a Steinbrenner kind of a move. Like, all right, you know what? We have a good team out here. Enough is enough. Like, no, you're gone. We're paying you this much money. We're not paying you this much money to lose, 12 straight games. So I definitely think it could have been a Moreno sort of a thing. And with the Angels, they've just had instability in this organization now for quite a few years now. It's like you haven't done anything, and you've had these good players, and like pitchers never want to go there. They somehow got Syndergaard to go there because they were the only team willing to throw the money at him. Other than the Mets probably would have given him a little bit more than the qualifying offer, but they decided to pony up and give him the money. So he went there for the money. I don't know. I just think this team, it always starts at the top.
Yeah, but he's not doing anything, and that's the whole thing. It's not like Syndergaard went there and is just lighting, the world on fire. He's going over there and he's getting roughed up. He's struggling.
Yeah, he was horrible. He was really bad against the Yankees. He did look pretty good the other night. I thought he was going to bounce back, and he did. So, but I figured that's a good little segue here. I was actually going to start off with a different hot take, but since we're talking about managers, let's talk about, we talked about the Phillies a little bit too, but let's talk about another manager out there that could you see this manager possibly, and again, we don't see a lot of managers get fired in season, and we've seen 2 already now. Could we maybe see a third, possibly Tony La Russa? From Drew to Paul, the White Sox fire La Russa and get either Madden or Girardi. That's a fun one. Now, I don't know about the second part of that, but I wonder, the White Sox are not in bad of shape, but they're definitely playing below expectations. What do you think? Do you think the White Sox hang on to him? Do you think they play? What do you think they do?
I don't think they get rid of him. Great question. I don't think they get rid of him because here's why. Here's the difference between the White Sox right now. They're definitely playing under, below expectations. They right now, so the difference between the Angels, who are 9.5 back in the West, who are really falling, but the whole AL West is struggling, and the White Sox are only down by 4. They're only behind by 4 games. They're 4 games back. They've won 3 in a row. The AL Central is not that difficult of a division. You really got 3 you really got two teams battling for it, with the Guardians still hanging in there. I'm not going to give any hate to the Guardians, but to me, it's going to end up being Minnesota and Chicago. I think the Guardians are going to end up falling off eventually. That's just my take on it.
Yeah.
But I don't see them getting rid of La Russa because the main difference is the injuries. They've got a lot of injuries. Eloy Jimenez, torn hamstring. He's coming back soon. Lance Lynn, he had that knee tendon tear. He's also coming back soon. Tim Anderson, who's been like their rock.
Yep.
He has a right groin strain. He's going to be coming back at the end of the month. So now they're several weeks without him. Vince Velasquez, groin. He's going to be coming back in another couple of weeks. Joe Kelly, left hamstring. He's going to be coming back maybe the beginning of July. You got all these guys now that are hurt. You got injuries galore. A huge starting pitcher that has not even been able to make a start, Lance Lynn. Eloy Jimenez, who's been out basically the whole year. He got hurt at the beginning of the season. That's a huge bat that they're missing. There's a reason that they are not playing as good as they should be, and it's because of injuries with this team.
Yeah.
Get these guys back, and I guarantee within a month, they're going to be above 500, and they'll be competing and being closer to the AL Central, to the Twins. The Twins are not taking off of there right now as they should be with all these injuries to the White Sox. But no, getting back to the question, I don't see them firing La Russa. That would be pretty funny if they did fire La Russa and bring in Madden or Girardi. I just don't see that happening. I feel like the White Sox are going to see it through. Now, if they don't make the playoffs at the end of the season, even with all the expectations, they may be having a conversation. At that point, they may say, hey, we're not bringing La Russa back. And then you're talking to Girardi and Madden. But I just don't see them. I don't see him being fired unless they go on some kind of catastrophic reeling fall here. But I don't see
right.
that happening.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with this hot take. The offense is really underperforming. Again, like you said, they are having some injuries. They're 20th overall in offense on the year, which is kind of crazy to think because last year they had a top 5 offense. They didn't hit the home run ball a lot last year, but they were still an overall good offensive team. And to see them in 20th overall on Fangraphs, it's a little worrisome. But like you said, there are injuries, and they're kind of still figuring out roles. Like Andrew Vaughn has really solidified himself this year. And, this is a guy too. Remember, we were live together, and then there was that, the Frankie Montas trade that looked like it was going to happen. And it was looking like Andrew Vaughn was in that trade. And I think the White Sox did the right thing hanging on to him because he's having himself a great year. But the White Sox this year only hitting 240 as a team, under a 300 on base, a 362 slugging, a 91 WRC plus. The starting pitching. It's kind of, but again, like you said, Lance Lynn, he's been out. That's their bulldog. That's their guy. And he's not there. So I definitely think he's going to help pick up the pace. Dylan Cease, you can see he has not been very effective his last few outings. This guy was striking out guys left and right. And then he went up against my Red Sox, and they just sent him to the moon. So starting pitching, I do think will start coming back around. The bullpen, on the other hand, bullpen's been pretty good. Now, again, with Fangraphs, you got to remember they do a bit of projection-based stats within their rankings, so that is something to keep in mind with their pitching. But they rank the White Sox pitching staff overall 14th right now. The FIP is lower than the ERA, so that's good. But as you can see here, the strikeout to walk ratio, 9 strikeouts to 4 walks. That needs to get better. They're not giving up a lot of home runs, but and I will say this too: the White Sox, their BABIP from the bullpen right now is a 316. Batting average on balls in play, that's pretty high. I do think that is going to come down a smidge because league average is always around like 280, 290. So I think they're getting a little unlucky. In the end, I think overall, the White Sox are going to get back on track. It's too talented of a team. And La Russa, to me, he has, ownership wanted him. That was kind of the big thing there. Ownership wanted him. Ownership loves him. And, he's been around for a long time. I mean, La Russa, Joe Madden was around for a long time too, but Joe Madden's not Tony La Russa when it comes to pedigree. You don't just get rid of Tony La Russa midseason. But the one thing I did one of the reasons I picked this as a hot take is La Russa has been a bit of a lightning rod, or at least some of the decision making. You had the the home run call with your mean Mercedes, basically shaming him in public because of that. You did have the drunk driving thing. So there has been some stuff with Russa that has not looked great. But I think in the end, I think if they do move on from him, I think it's in the offseason. So,
yeah.
But I think they do end up getting it back on track. So I do see a couple super chats. I'm going to get, we'll do 5. We'll kind of get to the halfway point. I got 10, and then we'll take a break. We'll do the super chats halfway through. So super chats are open. If you do have a last minute hot take that you would like to submit or a question, feel free, and we'll read them about halfway through. And then if we have any at the end too, I'll pull them up at the end as well. So let's move on here. Enough of the manager talk, but let's we talked about the Angels and the Phillies. Let's get back to those teams, shall we? So we talked about the Angels. They're looking pretty rough, but from Sudafed, interesting name. Angels make it to the ALCS. Let's let's start with the playoffs first off. Let's see. Do you think the Angels can make the playoffs? What do you think?
ALCS is a stretch.
Right.
ALCS is definitely a stretch. I don't think we've seen the Angels in the ALCS since what was the year where they were playing the Red Sox, where John Lackey said, "Gosh darn it," when they were pulling them off
was that was
07, 13? That was either 07 or 13.
It was 07, right?
Yeah,
it was 07.
So it's been a long time since they've been in the ALCS. I don't think this is the year that they're going to make it to the ALCS. Are they going to make it to the playoffs? Playoffs? I feel like Jim Moore, it's like, I don't know, I could see them. Here's the thing. I could see them maybe making the playoffs as a wild card, as like the third wild card, but it is going to be tough. To be honest, the way I feel like it's going to happen, I feel like it's going to be whoever's going to win the AL East. Right now, it's the Yankees are ahead, but again, long season to go. Whoever wins the AL East, whoever wins the AL Central, whoever wins the AL West, and the other two of the 3 wild card teams are going to be the other teams in the AL East. I think it's going to be Toronto's going to be there, Tampa's going to be there, and I'm sorry, Boston's going to be there too. In the end, Boston got off. They slipped at the beginning of the year. They will be there. And I feel like Boston is a better team than the Angels. So if it did end up coming down to like Toronto, Tampa, Boston, New York, those 4 teams in the AL East, all 4 of those teams are better than the Angels. They will have a better record than the Angels at the end of the year. And they will actually beat out the Angels for the wild card, is my hot take. If they have a shot, it's going to be squeezing in there in the wild card. But I definitely don't see them making the ALCS. That's 100%.
Well, before I get to mine, really quick, I just want to point out this comment from Benethy. You're asking here, are you taking these live or did I have to submit ahead of time? If you go to the community tab on my channel, I always post, I always do a little post where you can submit your hot take there. But when I've kind of picked them, it is too late at that point. So yeah, but yeah. So always look out on the community tab and you can post one there. And then I always pick a handful of them. So, but all righty, here we go. But for my take, if we look at the playoff picture right now, good little website here, playoffstatus.com. Not the most colorful of sites, but whatever, it'll do for now. As you can see, the Angels 2.5 back of a wild card spot. And honestly, this is a big series right now with the Red Sox and the Angels because, we're far away from, talking playoffs, but these are the series that are really important at this time because, the Angels win the next 2 games here. Well, now they're half a game back. So you got to win these games, especially with these other teams that are going to be in the mix. So these next 2 are really important for the Angels, I think, because, hey, if the Angels miss out of the playoffs by 1 game at the end of the season, let's say the Red Sox sweep this series. Well, you look back at this series and like, man, we had just won a couple of those, we could be talking about like a 1-game playoff right now. So these games matter, man. But as you can see here, I don't think the Angels are going to be getting that division. It looked like, hey, maybe because there's always talent with this Angels team. And this is probably my favorite Angels team. Maybe not right now, but 2 weeks ago, this was probably one of my favorite Angels teams that I've seen in a while. Just really good across the board. And then, they've just fallen off the face of the earth. So wild card, I definitely think they have a chance. And actually, let's go take a look here at the playoff odds as of right now.
Real quick, Robbie. Real quick, I want to just jump in. Do you think, before we even get into any of that, do you think the Angels are better than the Blue Jays, Rays, or Red Sox? Do you think that they are better than either of those three teams? Because to me, it's going to be those four teams are going to be in the mix. Whoever wins the division obviously wins the division. The other three teams are going to be in those wild card spots. This year, there's 3 wild card spots, right?
Yeah.
So
I would. I mean, it's funny because when you talk about the Angels, right? If you compare them to the Red Sox, well, the Red Sox offense was in a bad way at one point, but they've gotten their act together and they're exactly where they need to be with their offense. So Red Sox Angels offense, you could say Angels looked really good there for a while. They were a top 5 offense. They've kind of come back down the board a little bit. So I would say the Red Sox Angels right now, I mean, you can say arguably the Red Sox offense is better than the Angels, but whatever, if I were to be a little more conservative, I'll call that a tie just because the Angels have a lot of good bats in that lineup when they're at full strength and playing well. So I'll say that's a tie. You could say the starting pitching is pretty similar, I would say. I would maybe give the Red Sox a bit of an edge because to me, if I'm going, I mean, it just depends on what Ohtani gives you because Ohtani can have a really good start like he did against the Red Sox, and then he can just get blown up by the Yankees. So it's like with Ohtani, I don't know really what you're going to get from him. At least for me, Eovaldi, you kind of know what you're going to get from him, at least at his worst. He's not going to just have a stinker of a game, But Eovaldi could end up turning in a gem, or could give up 3 or 4. So if I were to go with Eovaldi or Ohtani has more of a ceiling, but I think Eovaldi has a better chance of giving you a solid start. And then if you just look at the depth of the rotation, I would say the Red Sox, I would say, I don't know, I guess depends because I like some of the Angels guys. And then the guys like Rich Hill kind of scare me a little bit. So I guess you could say maybe a bit of an edge to the Red Sox there. And then the bullpens, both bullpens have had their moments this year. So I would say they're not better than the Rays or the Blue Jays. I would say the Angels and the Red Sox are pretty close. What do you think?
I think I'd rather play the Angels than the Red Sox. If it gets to the end of the year, I mean,
especially in a division, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel like I have a better shot playing the Angels than I do playing the Red Sox. And
the Angels are one of those teams, I would say. The Angels are one of those teams, if they get hot, you wouldn't want to play them because their ceiling is through the roof. Like, it's just a matter of can they get to that ceiling? You know what I mean? Because when you got Ohtani and Trout and Ward, if he's healthy, like that offense could be really stupid. Same thing with the Red Sox too. If I were to be, not being Giraffe Nick Robbie right now, I would give the edge to the Red Sox. They look like a better team right now.
Yeah.
I would say the Blue Jays and the Rays are better than both of them. And I would give the edge to the Red Sox. And that's me being completely unbiased. Like if I were, a Portland Pickles fan, I would go with the Red Sox over the Angels right now. So, but as for this, I think, I don't know. Let me look at the Angels schedule here. I think the Angels have what it takes to make it. I think they do. I do like this team, but let's take a look at their schedule really quick. Let's share.
I just don't think if you're saying like, hey, which team is going to make it which team is the better team out of those 4 teams in the AL East versus the Angels, I would pick those 4 teams in the AL East.
Yeah, I would too. I think the Angels will have a shot in the end. I don't know. This is a horrible streak.
They've got. Let's go over. I've got the Angels line. Yeah, you've got to pull up here too. Get the heck out of here. They're playing the Red Sox. They're playing the Mets. They're playing the Dodgers. They're playing the Mariners.
It's going to be a rough month.
Then they have 3 games against the Royals. Then they're playing the Mariners. Then they're playing the White Sox. There's no way in heck that they're going to turn this around in this month. Then they start off July with the Astros. Then they go on a little bit of a okay, we're playing the Marlins, playing the Orioles. The Orioles are pesky. Orioles could easily take 2 or 3 out of the 4 there. Then they play the Astros, then they play the Dodgers. Then we're at the All-Star break. That is an insane schedule to think that you're going to turn it around. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That is not going to happen. They're going to be able to turn it around before the All-Star break.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like the Angels, but when I'm seeing this month, this is a nasty month for them. Ugh. And I don't mean that in a good way, like I usually do. Now, month of July looks better. When you look at July, this looks a lot more favorable. Marlins, Orioles. I mean, you got the
Royals.
Astros again. At least that's at home. One more against the Dodgers. Braves, Royals, Rangers. So July is a lot more favorable. If you look at August, which at that point, how's the depth of the team going to be looking? Could they make a move at the deadline? Possibly. August 2nd is the deadline this year, just in case anyone needed a reminder of that. But August looks a little more favorable. You got the A's, Mariners. Honestly, I know you said, beating up on the Mariners earlier. They're starting to look pretty good. They're winning a lot of games lately. I do like the Mariners personally. I'm waiting to see how they will do for the rest of this month. But you got the A's, Twins is going to be tough. Who knows with the Mariners? Division matchups are always tough no matter how bad the team.
They've got 3 series in this month that are like winnable series.
Yeah.
Both against the Athletics and then against the Tigers. Everything else is the Mariners, the Twins, the Mariners. Then they have, scroll down again.
For August?
In August, it was the Yankees
at the end,
and the Rays and the Blue Jays.
That's a rough stretch.
No way.
That's rough. Yeah, and these are going to be important matchups too, for wild card. And these are all, oh my God, you got the Rays and the Blue Jays on the road back to back. That's a brutal stretch and not even a day off. Ugh, that's horrible. I mean, I don't care how good your team is. Those are going to be tough games. Now, let's see with September. Astros again. Tigers is winnable. Astros again. Guardians is winnable. Rangers. Last series is against the Rangers. No, actually, no, it's against the A's. So it's just a matter of, can they get back together as a team and can they just right the ship? They have a tough schedule. Absolutely. If you were to hold a wooden spatula to my head and, ask me, are they going to make the playoffs?
No,
I don't think they will with that kind of a schedule. I see Abhinath in the chat saying I'm beating around the bush because it's like, I like this team because there's a lot of talent on the team. So I don't want to just easily dismiss this team because it is good and they've looked really good. And yeah, they're just playing a horrible stretch of baseball right now, but
can they turn it around? So I'm not going to beat around the bush. Can they turn it around? Maybe. Does it look favorable? Absolutely not. Are they going to make it to the ALCS? Absolutely not. Will they even make it to the playoffs? Probably not.
It's baseball. So it's just like, you see weird stuff just happen and lose 15 games in a row and then you can go back out there and then you can go win 17 in a row. It's like, you just don't know. And I just see a really talented team and I like this team more than I have with other Angels teams. So it's kind of hard for me to just kind of push them to the side. But when you look at the schedule, it's and just how they're playing right now, you wonder how the depth is going to be. They don't have a ton of prospects to be able to go out there and, make some kind of a move to bring some stability. I don't know. It's not looking great for them. I'm not going to dismiss them now, but it's not looking good. So, as for the ALCS, I don't even want to go that far. I just want to talk playoffs right now. Do they have if they got in, I'll say this. Let's say they got things together. Let's say they got in. If you got a first, if we were to look at the playoff picture right now, let's say they got the 3rd wild card. Okay. That would mean they would be going up. How does it work again? They're going up against the 3. So as of right now, they would be going up against the Twins in a wild card game. Hey, we know those Twinkies in the playoffs. You know them very well in the playoffs, and they break your heart every single time in either a wild card game or the division round. So I'll give the Angels a chance against the Twins in a wild card game. Absolutely. First round, I mean, God, you'd have to really break this down. I guess I can't even remember how they do this, but I think the 3 versus 6 would end up going against the number 1 seed. So if they would end up, let's say the Yankees are the number 1, I think that would mean that's bad news for the Angels as of right now. That starting pitching in a 5-game matchup and they have to waste their best pitcher in a wild card game. No, I don't like that right now. So I'll say no to the ALCS as of right now. And for playoffs, it's not looking great. So, all righty, moving on from the Angels, shall we? Let's see what's next. Hey, let's talk about another team that just got a new manager. How about the Phillies, huh? How about the Phillies? Matthew Bradigan, Phillies under Rob Thompson make the playoffs. What do you think?
This one I'm more optimistic on. I know we were, kind of same thing in the American League. Like, obviously, you got the division winners. You got them. I think it's going to be the Mets are going to win the division. I think that, it's going to be 50-50 really between Milwaukee and St. Louis, the other one making the wild card. And then the Dodgers are going to be I think they're going to win the NL West. But then you have those 3 wild card teams. Is San Francisco going to come back to life? Because they started off extremely hot. They're playing like 500 ball here lately. Are they going to come back? Arizona's not doing anything. Then you go to Atlanta. Atlanta is playing really hot. They've won 6 in a row, but the Phillies have also won 5 in a row. So are they going to get it together as well? Atlanta, I think, is going to pull it off. I think Atlanta's a wild card team. Again, either Milwaukee or St. Louis is going to be a wild card team. Then you're looking at like San Diego, Philadelphia, in that range. I agreed with what you tweeted a couple days ago. Like, hey, the Phillies are going to go on a run right now. I pulled up where is it at? I pulled up the shade that Bryce Harper was throwing at Girardi.
What did he say on that?
So he answered. So Harper appeared. There's out of the article here. Harper appeared to take a swipe at Girardi, telling the Philadelphia Inquirer, "I'm so happy for Stott, man. What an at bat! What a situation for him being able to put our trust in our young guys the last couple days and really let them just play. It's been great, and it paid off today." So basically, just saying that Girardi was not giving the young guys a shot, and that could be it. Here's the thing. The Phillies can go on a run just like any other team can go on a run. But it's, again, they're not winning the division. So I'm going to say that right off the bat before we even go really in-depth into this. They're not winning the division, the Phillies. That's not happening. It's either going to be, if any team's winning the division, it's going to be the Mets and the Braves. I just don't see them making it. It's going to be tough for them to make the wild card because now they're still under 500. They're 26-29. They're 3 games under 500. It's going to be tough because, again, the Giants are a team that they had a heck of a stretch there. They're kind of, again, playing that 500 ball right now. But here's the thing, when you're a team like the Phillies that was, what were they, Robbie? 8 games under 500 at one point. Yeah, and it's like now you're trying to put together this, this streak. It's tough. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, with the Red Sox were playing under 500. It felt like the whole darn season. I kept tweeting you. I kept messaging you like, hey, did they make it to 500 yet? Hey, did they make it to 500 yet? Because it's just like you're playing forever. When you're under 500, it's like, damn, like, can we get to 500? And they just
like hard to just get there.
It's hard. So there's still 3 games under 500. If you're going to, again, put to use your term, a wooden spatula against my head to say, are they going to make the playoffs? I mean, if we're looking at the teams, basically Atlanta, Milwaukee, St. Louis, and San Diego, San Francisco, man, that's tough. And right now, I'd say no. Yeah. Right now, I would say no. We are nowhere near the end of the season. We still have 2/3 of the season to go. But right now, I'd say no. You have their schedule up in front.
Yeah, here's the schedule. So you got, I mean, they just won the first game against the Brewers. More clutch hitting from the Phillies there. A couple home runs to win that game.
And they're winning tonight, 5-0.
They're up 5-0 right now. They're like I said, I think it was Saturday. So they're going to win 15 out of their next 20, at least. Just watch. It's like, why do I say that? Just because they, changed their manager? No. Because if you look at their numbers, they don't rank badly with these numbers, and they have like this poor record to show for it. 13th in offense for the year, and definitely a lot better as of right now. Starting pitching for the whole year ranks second behind the Yankees, and they're tied with the Padres. The bullpen has been an issue. Bullpen, funny enough, for the year, the bullpen ranks 12th, which sounds kind of surprising. But if you go back to May 1st, the bullpen's definitely not as good. 16th since May 1st. They're walking a lot of guys. The bullpen is an issue, and I do think you got to go out there and go get a guy, whether that's someone like David Robertson or one of these relievers on the Cubs, someone, I don't know, David Robertson too. You're going to have a lot of relievers out there, and I definitely think the Phillies will be in that market. I think you need someone at the back of that bullpen. Knebel, I think, I don't know. I don't know. I want Knebel at the back end, but I want them to go get another guy as well. There's definitely going to be a market for relief pitching for sure. Josh Hader will not be going anywhere. So
I will say this real quick. Congratulations to Thompson, man, of being, at least being at the helm for the rest of the season. This dude's been a lifer, bench coach, and just like under the wing of a manager. He was the bench coach for the Yankees forever. He's the bench coach here for the Phillies. So it's nice to see him getting an opportunity. I'm happy to see that.
While we're talking about that, funny you bring it up. Yesterday, I had a nice little writer from The Athletic, come at me on the best place on earth, Twitter. She wrote this article. What is her name? Like Britt Garoli or something. She wrote this article saying who's going to be the next manager for the Phillies. And I read the article and I saw Rob Thompson was in the article. And she had like different categories, like outside the organization, within the organization. And Rob Thompson was listed. But I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I get it. He's an interim manager. I get that. But like, can we at least just let the guy manage, I don't know, maybe 10 games or so before you're starting to write this article? Listen, I get it. The Athletic, you lost like, I don't know, your value went down by like, what was it, like $50 million last year? I get it. You sold out to the New York Times. I understand. Times are tough. You're losing money every single year. No one wants to talk about it, so I'll talk about it. I get it. So you got to write articles like that. So people, it's clickbaity kind of articles, and people click it and they're like, oh, maybe I can sign up for a subscription. But no one wants to because you're putting out stuff like that. And that's why you lost like over $50 million last year. And that's why you had to sell out to the New York Times. So Britt, by the way, I did read the article. I did read it. Sorry. Wow. I got a little ahead of myself there. But
getting a little angry. Calm down there.
It just bothers me, just bugs me. Because it's just like, I read the article, Britt. I read the article. Okay. So whatever. Eat my shorts. Moving on. So as for the Phillies, do they make the playoffs? Wouldn't spatula to my head. No, I don't see it. It's like they rank well. The pitching is great, but the pitching was great last year. The starting pitching was awesome last year. They were a top 5 starting pitching staff last year, and they still didn't make it. I don't know. They're gonna have to show me more right now. No, if they can really go on that run like I think they can, then we're talking here. But second, they're not. I don't think they'll get the first wild card. Maybe the second. Because I mean, if we look right now, the Phillies, they are. Let's see here. Phillies are 2.5 back of the third wild card, 3.5 back of the second, and then Padres. They're gonna get that first wild card. I think they're gonna be that first wild card.
And it goes back to the same question I was asking the American League: are the Phillies better than the Padres, the Giants? either St. Louis or Milwaukee or Atlanta.
I think the Phillies have more firepower than the Giants.
Yeah,
They
I agree.
are the Giants on the other, but the Giants are like the Rays in the National League. They put these guys in spots and they just win games. You know, they use the platoons, they use the pitching matchups. They're very analytical in that way. The Phillies, they have more firepower. They have more talent. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be have a better record at the end of the year. As we see that with the Rays time and time again. The Phillies do have the firepower. They do have the talent. They got these bats. They got the starting pitching. Bullpen, maybe add an arm, add a little stability there. I would not say that they're a better team than the Braves right now. I do expect the Braves to be at least one of the top 2 wild cards, at least. Hey, we saw what happened with the Braves last year. I think it's going to be a little different this year. I think the Mets end up hanging on to that division. But I mean, hey, we saw the Mets last year. It's a different team, obviously, but you never know. I do expect the Braves to be a top 2 wild card team. I think the third wild card is going to come down to the Phillies, the Giants. I don't know. I don't think another team. I mean, my heart would love for the Diamondbacks to go on some kind of a roll, but I don't see it. Unfortunately, I wish they would, but
they're talking about trading Bumgarner. I don't think they're trying to.
No one's going to want that contract,
anything.
man. No one's going to want it. I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to want that contract. So in the end, I think that third wild card will come down to the Phillies and the Giants. I think that's what it's going to be. If wooden spatula in my head, no, not right now. So anyway, let's move on here. Let's get to the next one. Where are we? Oh, speaking of the Braves, we're sticking with the team heavy aspect of the show right now. Our next hot take from SoundFX09, a longtime member of the channel. SoundFX, I always love when you're here, buddy. With the Braves winning 6 games in a row, they will catch the Mets by the All-Star break. I like this one because the Mets are the Braves red hot right now. They're playing great baseball right now. They are absolutely wrecking the A's right now. 13-2. What the heck is going on with this Braves team? They are phenomenal right now. I really like the Braves. I picked the Braves to win the division before the year, and I picked the Mets as a wild card. Let's actually pull up some numbers here. If we go to the month of June, Atlanta, I mean, it's a small sample size, but whatever. Atlanta right now, they are, if we take a look here, they're 8th in offense this month. Austin Riley has just been a madman. That guy is just going absolutely crazy. But offense is doing way better than they were in the month of May. Starting pitching. They are 5th in starting pitching this month. They have not lost a game this month. I mean, they're on a win streak, but you can see the starting pitching. They're doing enough. Each of them are getting their starts in, and they are performing just well enough, at least, to get themselves a win. And the bullpen is just phenomenal. It's been phenomenal all year. They're 5th with the bullpen in the month of June. And all year, if we take a look, I believe they rank number 1, or where are they at? Oh, wow. They dropped all the way to 7th. Oh, no, I'm not looking at all. Relievers. Yeah, they're number 1. So the Braves bullpen, you never had to worry about that. But as we can see, lately with the Braves, they're playing great baseball. And if we take a look here, they're riding, what was it? A 6-game winning streak, 7-3 in their last 10. It looks like that World Series hangover is over. They had a team meeting, they said, all right, listen, last year is last year. We got to start cleaning up this mess a little bit. They weren't necessarily playing bad, but when you look at the talent on that team, especially with Ronald Acuna back too, it's like, come on. Matt Olson, remember how hot he was in the beginning of the year? And he kind of cooled off there for a little while. He started to pick up the pace, but there's too much talent on this Braves team. This is a very good, you see teams, they win a World Series, and the Braves, I think, they're a better team than they were last year, at least on paper. So it's good to see. But will they have enough to win this division. They are currently 8 back. The Mets are also playing good. So that's the tough part. So I think I know where you're going to go with this one, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think as well. I mean, no, they're not. They're not going to catch them. They're not going to catch the Mets, and they're not going to surpass the Mets by the All-Star break. By the end of the season, maybe. We kind of were talking about that a little bit. By the end of the season, maybe. By the All-Star break, no. Yeah. We're a little bit over a month away from the All-Star break. You just were looking at the standings, and you take a look at the standings again. Yeah, the Braves have won 7 of the last 10. But who else won 7 of the last 10? The Mets. They didn't make any ground. The last 10 games, they have not made any ground. So if the Mets are putting up a similar record or an identical record in the last 10, and, we see the Mets going down with a bunch of injuries, recent injuries, Pete Alonso, recent injuries, Starling Marte. They're getting good injury news. It's not like it's, these huge injuries, but, some guys are dropping off here. Good news is, Taylor McGill possibly coming back here within the next 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
Max Scherzer, early July.
You see about him? Before I forget about that, I see his dog bit his hand or something.
Yeah.
Jeez. God, Max Scherzer, man. What the heck are you doing with your dog? But yeah, I don't think that's he was already going to be out for a little while anyway, but it doesn't look like
he's... You got James McCann coming back here at the end of the month. You got these guys coming back, and then, DeGrom, they're talking about he's progressing well. I don't think they're going to rush him. I think probably he's going to end up coming back by the All-Star break. They're saying like end of June, beginning of July. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to end up coming.
Oh, for DeGrom?
Yeah, for DeGrom.
Wow, end of June. No way.
Yeah.
If they said that
on MLB.
Wow.
MLB, end of June. Expected return, late June at the earliest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine probably All-Star break.
I would think he's going to come in after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him another couple of weeks, and I think he's going to come back after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Back to the question, though. No, they're not going to make up that eight game ground and surpass them before the All-Star break. By the end of the season, that's a different question. I would say maybe. Atlanta has an amazing starting rotation, or Atlanta has an amazing bullpen. Starting rotation has not been the best this year. They definitely have shown they've been good enough. They've shown some signs of greatness, but they have not been like the best like they were at a stretch of last year.
Yeah.
The lineup, Ronald Acuna Jr., stay healthy. Matt Olson, get it going. Matt Olson's on my fantasy team. He's at like 250. Come on, buddy, get it going. They're having a good game tonight. They got, some guys hitting and missing here and there. But yeah, they have a better shot of making it by the end of the season. All-Star break, that's a no.
Yeah, I'm going to say I think they'll make it. I think they're going to make it fun in the end. I think they'll be close enough to where, people are writing articles about it. Like, oh, Braves, a few games back. Can they close the gap? Can they win this division? I think they'll get close. But if you remember last year, I think the Mets, the highest lead that they had, I could be wrong. I feel like it was either 5 or 6 games somewhere. I think that was like the highest that their lead got. You're looking at a couple more here, and this Mets team is better. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a gap. I think in the end, my hot take would be they'll finish within 5 games. I'll give them that. Maybe like 6 or 7 at the most.
At the All-Star break.
I would say by the end of the year. Now, for the All-Star break, I think they could chop a few more off. Maybe they could get maybe
chop
5.
a few more off and then catching up to them.
Yeah, no, they won't catch up by the All-Star break. No, I don't see that. Because he did say All-Star break. I was thinking more end of the season, but All-Star break, nah. I'll say maybe they could cut a couple more off, maybe a few more. But the Mets are just too good, because it's like if the Mets had been playing bad, let's say the Mets were 3-7 in their last 10 instead of 7-3. Well, okay, that's a little more interesting. But the Mets are just Here's the difference with this Mets team. This was the difference and this is why they went out and added all of these guys, because this is exactly what happened with them last year. They started losing guys. Guys were falling off like flies, or falling off the face of the planet, and they had no depth. Lindor was not himself. And then that's when the Braves really took advantage. The Mets had to go out and go get Javier Baez because, hey, it's like Lindor was not doing anything. They had to go out there and get another bat. And starting pitching, DeGrom, he was gone in the second half. They went out there. They've added this pitching. Bassett, I think, I feel like I've seen this from a couple of hot takes. I don't remember who. I feel like he said Bassett will turn out to be like one of the best moves, because I think what he brings, he's not going to give you Max Scherzer level, but he brings stability. He's a guy that's going to go out there every 5 days. He's going to give you 5 or 6 innings. And I think that they didn't have that last year, So that's Stroman, but yeah, I don't know. But in the end, I think the Mets will end up winning this division. I don't think they'll cut this. No, I don't think they'll catch him by the All-Star break. That's a hot one, though. I will say that is hot. So
Chris Bassett, Chris Bassett, excellent move. But I think the move that does not get talked about at all, or nearly enough, is Carlos Carrasco. He's 7-1 this year.
I love that when they got him
with a 3.52 ERA.
Yes.
He's pitching out of his mind.
Yes, that's a big one too. I'm glad you brought that up, because I thought last year he was going to be like a difference maker for them, but he, didn't have his stuff quite together yet. This guy was still kind of coming back from all the stuff he was going through. But I really thought he was going to be the difference maker last year. It took a year, but here he is. And thank you for bringing that up, because I completely slipped on that one. But again, they didn't have that last year. They didn't have the depth. So definitely a different Mets team. Last year, if you asked me the same question right now with last year's Mets team, I would say, oh yeah, I think they could get it to within 2-3. Absolutely. So they would, yeah. But this Mets team is different. So let's move on here. Let's move on to our next hot take. I think we are done with, we got one more team to talk about. And then we'll go to a quick little break. We'll take some super chats. But let's talk about I feel like we're pretty split on this team. Like, I think you like this team, or I like this team more than you like this team. But the Mariners, from Sully, another longtime member. This could be blind optimism speaking. Honestly, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm the one who has the blind optimism too. But I feel like the Mariners have it in them to still get a wild card spot. I'll start here. Let me share this really quick. Let's go back to the playoff odds. So for the Mariners, Fangraphs are still giving them a shot. I really liked this Mariners team coming into this year. I had them going to the championship series. I thought, you know what, Logan Gilbert, which Logan Gilbert has stepped up this year. He's definitely looked good, but the rest of Robbie Ray has been a disappointment. I didn't think he was going to be the Cy Young Robbie Ray, but I thought he would be better than what he's doing. But that has not worked out. Fangraphs right now, they're still giving them a 10% chance of a wild card. Way better shot than the Angels, or Angels have a way better shot. 1/4 of a chance for the Angels. So the Mariners are playing really good baseball lately. I don't know if you've noticed with Julio Rodriguez. This guy is out of his mind. Julio Rodriguez right now, he absolutely has a shot at a 2020 season. He's already at 17 stolen bases. I didn't even realize that. Like, I knew he had some, but this guy must have been stealing bags like crazy over the last week. But he's already up to 17. I didn't even see that. He's had 7 home runs. Hit a dinger against the Astros after that brawl. Julio Rodriguez, man, this guy, wow. Like, he's really stepping up, because he was struggling there for a little while. But the Mariners offense, they have been good all year. The starting pitching is questionable. I think if the Mariners want to have an actual shot at making the playoffs, I think they need to go out there and go get a starter. I think you need to go. I think it would be better for them to go get someone that's under control for another season. Don't just go get a rental. I think if you go out there, go get someone like Luis Castillo, Mailey, Montaz, I think that could really help their rotation a lot. The offense is really good. They're a top 10 offense this year. The bullpen is pretty solid for the most part. I just don't think they have enough starting pitching right now to be able to make that kind of a run. So they have the prospects. If they want to go get a guy for the rotation, like a guy that's going to cost you a coin, they have that luxury to go do it. They have someone like a Noelvi Marte in the system. If you wanted to go get a superstar starting pitcher for your rotation, I think you could make that kind of a move. Maybe someone like a Pablo Lopez on the Marlins, someone like that. Someone under control. He's going to cost you a little bit. I think they could get a move like that done. But it's not looking great, obviously, for them right now, just because if you're looking at the standings, they're still 6 games under 500, but they are 6-4 in their last 10. So they are playing better. They were 7-3 yesterday in their last 10, but they lost. So 6-4 in their last 10. They have a lot of work to do. They're 4 out in a wild card. So I'm not going to dismiss the wild card right now. I think they need to make a move or two. I think if they're within 4 or 5 games of a wild card by the deadline, I think they're going to make some moves. So as of right now, no, I think they need to add a starting pitcher. What do you think?
I'm going to go back to our conversation before that we had at the beginning of this. Are they better than the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Rays? And they're not. They are not better than either of those 3 teams. It's going to be a 3-team wild card team. They're not better than the Yankees. They're not better than the Twins. They're not better than the Astros. They're going to have a hard time. They're going to be one of these teams that's going to have to beat up on their own division. They're in a division right now that, is rough. Again, we were talking about the Angels earlier, and the Angels right now are a game and a half above Seattle. I know we're talking about the wild card, and again, we're only a third of the way through the season. So we have a lot of baseball left. A lot of things can happen, but unless something like insane derails those other teams, I just don't see the Mariners making the playoffs. I know this was your pick for the ALCS, and I think you're going to be wrong. Sorry.
Not looking good yet. Not looking good right now.
I think you're going to be really wrong on this because I just, hey, buddy, come on. We've been watching the AL East forever now. The Rays are not going to die off, and the Blue Jays are not going to die off. And Boston was dying off. They've won 6 in a row. They're probably going to win again tonight. I mean, like, this team's going to be there. They dug themselves a hole. They got out of the hole. This team's going to be there. Alex Cora is not going to grow some facial hair on his face for the rest of the year. I'm surprised you didn't shave your face for them. You were pretty damn close.
God.
Kill
me.
Sorry, Seattle's not going to make it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to rain on your parade. If we're looking at it right now, there's no way they're going to make it. They're going to have to pick up some big pieces if they're going to even make a push for it. Robbie Ray is going to have to look like Cy Young Robbie Ray out here, and he's not at all.
Yeah.
And they're going to need a lot more out of the rotation. They're going to need a lot more out of the offense. And yeah, Julio Rodriguez, like, what is he speeding over here? 7 years stolen base.
Yeah, he's been crazy this year. He's been so good. He's been insane in the last few weeks.
I just see it. By far in all of baseball. I mean, I'm not just talking about the American League. I think they're the strongest division in all of baseball. And yes, that includes the NL West. But I think they are. And I think those 4 teams, you got to derail that team. This is a league that 17 out of the 30 teams are playing under 500 right now.
Yeah.
So, and that's insane. Over half of the league is under 500. So if you're going to make a run, they're in a bad division other than the Astros. They're going to have to beat up on these other teams. They're going to have to beat up on the Angels, which the Angels are going to try to beat up on them. And the Rangers are another team. That's the hottest bad division right now.
Right.
The Angels are a good team. They're not playing well. The Rangers are a team that had a lot of expectations. They're not playing well. And the Mariners, you had them going to the ALCS. I thought you were nuts then. And I think you're not. I don't think that's going to happen now. But those three teams are going to have to beat up on each other, and I don't see them making up enough ground to beat the four teams that are in the AL East. Whoever ends up winning the division, again, whether it's the Yankees or not, the Yankees are getting their tails handed to them tonight against the Twins. Twins having a little bit of payback. I knew they weren't going to sweep this matchup, but I just don't think they're better. I just do not think they're going to. I don't think they're going to make it over those teams. Sorry.
Yeah, and really quick, let me just share. We went over the schedules earlier for those other teams, so let me just go over the Mariners' schedule. Taking a look here. So for this month, we got the Red Sox coming up this weekend. So Red Sox just played them recently. Had the walk-off grand slam. That was awesome. But this time it's going to be in Seattle. They got a nice long home stretch here. Yeah. So that will be nice for them. But Red Sox and Twins back-to-back, that's not going to be easy. You got 5 games against the Angels. If this Angels team, if we're looking at this Angels team the way they've been for the past 13 games, if this is what they are, then, hey, that's a nice little series for you right there. And then you got them again the next weekend. You got the A's in between. Then you got some series here that you can win. You got tons against the Angels. You got tons, or not tons, but you got a series against the A's. You got the Orioles. Well, yeah, A's again. So they got some matchups, they're going to have to take advantage of. So, I mean, they got how many games now? I guess that's 3 there. So you got 6 against the A's in this month and then the beginning of next month. Padres, Blue Jays back-to-back. That's not going to be easy. Nationals should be should be able to take 2 of those. Rangers definitely should be able to take at least a couple. At least. Then you got the Astros again. So I will say this with the Red Sox, these are going to be, if you're the Mariners, you got to win 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox here at home. You have to do it. There's no other way. You got to take advantage of that kind of a series. I don't know if the Red Sox Mariners play again after that. So, and then if we're taking a look here, and again, you got the Blue Jays right there. So that you're going to have to go win that series if you want to start gaining some ground. And then you go to August here. You got 6 against the Yankees within 2 weeks. And then, again, you have matchups here that are in their favor. Now, I mean, look here. This could be a stretch right here if the Mariners went on some kind of a run. You got the A's and the Royals back-to-back. You could win all 6 of those. And then you got the A's to end right at the end of the season, and then the Tigers at the end of the season. I don't know, man. This schedule, it looks pretty favorable, for them. They got some tough matchups there. If they got on track, I think they have a shot at it. You saw the matchups there. There's a lot of easy matchups for them. And actually, before I do move on, their strength of schedule as of right now, let me actually just take a look in the American League. Their strength of schedule is actually one of the more favorable schedules in the American League. So Fangraphs, it says their strength of schedule for the rest of the way is 491. So that's under 500. So they got a pretty nice schedule overall. And then if you're looking at it for all of Major League Baseball, they have the fifth easiest schedule the rest of the way. So that is where I'll give them a shot, is they have a lot of good matchups. So we'll have to see what happens. But come on, Mariners. Come on. I picked you for the ALCS. Come on. If they do it, imagine if they do it. I'll go nuts. And you'll never hear the end of it. You'll never hear the end. I don't care if they get swept in the ALCS. Whatever. If they make it there somehow, you will never hear the end of it. We'll be 86 years old, getting breakfast somewhere. I'll be like, hey, remember when I picked the Mariners to make the ALCS back in 2022 and I was right? No one else did. I will say it. Anyway,
I'll let you say it because it's not happening.
Enough of me rambling here. Let's get to some super chats. We're halfway through. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by tonight. We actually had quite a few super chats come in. I see Con Man is here. He's always coming through with a super chat. Holy cow, we got comments left and right. I got to dig through these. Hold on a second. Super chat. Okay. From Luke Walker. Ooh, he's got a hot take. Here we go. Luke Walker, $4.99. Thank you, Luke. Hot take: the Contreras brothers should be the NL All-Star catchers. It was great meeting you at the. Oh, Luke, what's going on, my friend? Yes, I met you at the Sock Puppets game. My goodness, that was awesome, man. I gotta say, like, that was cool. I talked about that last night. I never thought I would sign a baseball for someone. I never thought I would ever do that, and I did it. So, you guys, man, meeting you it meant more to me than you would ever imagine. I'm going to tell you that right now. That was a really cool moment for me. The fact that anyone comes up to me, says, hey, man, I like your stuff. Trust me, it made my heart quite warm. I'll tell you that right now. But Luke, for your hot take, what do you think here? I Wilson Contreras, he's been awesome. And then the other one for the Braves, they've both been having really solid seasons. I think Wilson Contreras absolutely should make it. We're talking about Contreras on the Braves. He's been having a pretty solid season as well. So let me pull up his stats here. Yeah, so he's hitting 304. He has a 382 on base, over 1,000 OPS, 8 homers, 16 RBIs. I mean, he's 24 years old. He's playing great baseball. I mean, what a cool story that would be. I mean, that would be a great story. Wilson Contreras, he's been really good lately. And I can't wait for trade deadline because someone's got to go get him. Like, Wilson Contreras, absolutely. To me, the Astros are the team to go get him. I know you got Martin Maldonado. You got Castro. Come on. Like, you got to go get him, man. Like, Maldonado is great to have on your team because he brings, obviously, the defense, the pitch calling. Now, maybe the Astros like that, and they just want these other guys. But to me, he's a black hole offensively. I think you should have him as the backup guy, be there. But, man, Wilson Contreras to the Astros would be awesome. I like this. I like this, man. I think that would be a really cool story, too. Have we ever had, I'm trying to think, Kyle Seager, Corey Seager, were they ever all-stars for the same year? It wasn't on the same team, but.
Yeah, they probably were all-stars at the same time. I don't think they were ever on the same team.
No,
the
never.
Molina
on the
brothers, were the Molina brothers ever? Do you ever have like Benji and Yachty playing? Any of those guys with the catching? I don't
remember Benji Molina ever being an all-star. Was he? He was a Gold Glover. No, he never made an all-star team. So
Benji Molina never made an all-star team.
Yeah, like he was he was solid. He had he was fourth in Rookie of the Year voting in 2000.
What about Jose?
Let's
never
take a look here.
Jose Molina, that's the brothers I could see being catchers, maybe not on the same team. No.
No, he never made it either. But I don't think I'm
all for it, Luke. I'm all for it. I would love to see that. I think that was a great moment early in the year when they were, playing against each other and, kind of tearing up there at home plate, giving each other a hug. I would love to see that.
Cool, man.
I mean, they're going to be I think they definitely both are all-stars this year. William and Wilson, both all-star catchers this year. I would love to see it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I also looked for the Seager brothers. No. Kyle Seager was an all-star in 2014, but Corey was obviously not there. So
one last pair of brothers I'll give you, and then we'll go to the next one. What about Aaron and Brett Boone? Brett Boone had a good stretch there with the Mariners. Aaron Boone maybe on the Reds at that time. I don't think
Aaron Boone was an all-star ever. Was he?
He was
in 2003. That's right, 2003. So, maybe. That could be.
Brett Boone, 2003 all-star, maybe.
Brett Boone was an all-star.
Yeah.
In 98, 2001. Yeah. They were. Oh, so they were. Yeah. So they were both on the American League All-Star team. Yeah, good call. I forgot about that one.
I'll always remember that. I'm sorry. Again, I'm going to bring this up. I know I've probably brought this up 5,000 times to you, but I will always remember the Aaron Boone walk-off, and Brett Boone was calling the game for Fox.
Oh,
he was so he was just dead silent, just smiling and looked so happy, such a brotherly moment, to see, his brother walk it off and go to the World Series. But
absolutely. I mean, that was just a crazy moment. That's another. Sorry to interrupt you, but there's another one. Ken, the Alomar brothers.
Yeah.
So Roberto Alomar.
Andy.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course Roberto Alomar made a ton of All-Star games.
Sandy was good there for a while. That was another one.
Roberto Alomar made the All-Star game in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 straight seasons. He's out of his mind. Roberto Alomar was so good in the 90s. Oh my God. But
defensive wizard.
Oh my God. And then Sandy Alomar. So yeah, they made some All-Star teams. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, man, you've had some really, good pairs of brothers in the major leagues. You just don't ever see it very much. So I think they should do it. It's a good story. It's a good moment, that they
The
had.
same team is the rare part. I mean, you've seen it because like American League nationally, but being in the same division on the same team, I don't think you've seen that.
Yeah.
Roberto and Sandy, yes. But
yeah, I like it. I definitely think man, I remember Wilson Contreras to the Yankees. Even this year, people have been saying, "Oh, the Yankees should go get him." I don't think the Yankees need to go do that. I don't. No. I think they have a nice thing going. You're gonna have Rortvedt. Is he coming back soon?
I don't know if he's ever gonna make it. I mean, because Trevino has been out of his mind, and Higgy's that backup now. Higgy is, I think. It's crazy because I remember in spring training, he was just launching home runs left and right. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's he had like 12 home runs in spring training.
Yeah, crazy.
And he just hasn't been able to do anything so far. So I think they're just going to roll with Trevino and Higgy. Rortvedt, he's coming back from what I heard, from what I saw last, but he might just be a AAA boy until one of those guys, one of those guys go down.
I agree. So Brendan DH, thank you so much. Moreno thinks he's the smartest guy in the room because he lucked into having two of the best baseball players on earth playing for him. I will always say this. It always starts from the top. It always trickles down from the top. Whatever's going on in an organization, you got to look at the guy who's running the whole thing. And Moreno, he's gone out. He's given them the green light to go out there and spend some money, but I don't know. It's like, you've had a hard time attracting, you've gotten some big name players to come there. Like obviously you got Ohtani to come there from Japan. Ohtani, I remember him saying that he liked what he felt like was a family atmosphere. But it's like, what is going on there? It's like, I don't get it. Every year they have these good teams. They have good players. They just can never put it together. I don't understand it. It's like, what is going on there? And, you have Ohtani, who was very selective about where he wanted to go. Like he had a lot of teams that wanted him and he picked the Angels. And it's like, so, they had to have they're doing something right there if they got him. And then, you got guys like Rendon, you've had some free agent signings. You've never gotten a picture to come there besides Syndergaard this year. But to me, it was like any team that just threw money at him, he would have just he was going to the top offer. So they didn't get Cole. That was a big one. I thought for sure they were going to get Trevor Bauer. I was like, you got to go get Trevor Bauer. And they didn't get him. They didn't even seem like they were even in the mix in the end at all. I'm like, how? Like Bauer was like the perfect guy. Well, not right now, but
thank God they're probably so thrilled.
I'll tell you this about Bauer for the when we played the sock puppets, we really tried to get Bauer, but he would have come too, but he's got a lot of stuff going on. So that would have been really cool, but they've just never been able to attract that big name picture. I don't know why. It's like, I wonder, I don't know, something behind the scenes is not running right. And I don't know. So, but Moreno, I definitely think, it always trickles from the top. Brandon, thank you so much, my friend. Moving on here. Next hot take or next super chat. Oh man, you guys have been commenting like crazy. I gotta get through all these. I know we had another super chat.
Adam.
Where is it? Here it is from Adam Wetstein. What's going on? Because of the unbalanced schedule, only 3 teams from one division. Yeah. So I think you're saying for 3 wildcard teams, I think, right? So it's kind of funny how that works out. Could you say there's a bit of an unbalance? Possibly. I mean, they when they make the schedule every year, they always, some teams I think will have easier schedules and whatnot, but for it is, I don't know. Would you say it's more schedule, or would you say it's more just these are just Blue Jays, Rays, Red Sox, Yankees, all four of those teams in the mix? I mean, would you say it's more schedule, more team, or I would say probably a bit of both, or no, I'd probably just say they're good teams.
No,
So
I think it's just team wise. I
yeah,
mean, sorry, the other teams in other divisions, they're gonna have to, get stuff together because the Blue Jays aren't going anywhere, the Rays aren't going anywhere, the Red Sox and Yankees aren't going anywhere. Those are going to be four teams in the American League. Even with the expanded playoffs now with 3 wildcard teams, these teams aren't going anywhere. These other teams are gonna have to go and figure it out, because even with the 3 wildcard spots, like I said, like I've been saying all episode long, these other teams, good luck. You're gonna have to get through these teams. You're gonna have to get through whoever wins the division, American League East. I know the Yankees are up right now, and we're again a third of the way through the year. You're gonna have to beat out these other teams, and I just don't see it happening. And
yeah.
that division is the best division in baseball, and it has been for a long time. Even when the Orioles were really good,
you always got beef in that division. And I was gonna say too, you gotta remember, like these 4 teams are playing each other. The Orioles are never easy. Whoever is in the bottom of that division, it's never even when the Rays weren't, there, in the mid 2010s, they were always that pesky team that even before 2008, they were still always that pesky team. Even when sure it was those were the dog days of the Rays, but it's when you got these 4 teams going up playing each other throughout the year, it's always a dogfight. That's where they have to take advantage of those other matchups against the other teams in the other divisions. So,
well, it's been that way now for a while, because Adam just commented as well. No, it's unbalanced. The teams have to play against each other more than other teams. It's been that way though now for a while. These teams, like every team in their division, they have to play against each other. What is it, 18 times a year? So it's been that way now for a while.
Didn't they lower it? They lowered it this year, right?
Huh?
Did they increase it for this year, or did they lower it? Because I remember it was always 18.
Yeah, 18.
Games.
I don't know
Did
if
they
it's
lower
18.
it this year.
I
think they
thought it was the same. I thought it was the same. Either way, the American League East is the best division. So even if they're having to play each other more, that's tougher. That's going to show who's the better team, because they're playing the best teams in their own division more times.
Right. One more before we get to our last few hot takes from Con Man. He's always very generous, dropping in super chat. Really appreciate that, Con Man. His hot take: even with the bad injury luck, O's finish with the 20th or higher best record by the end of the season. So outside top 10 in draft order, and they finished with the top 10 bullpen, currently 3rd best right now. Yes, that's one thing about the Orioles, man. I wonder, are they going to make some deals at the deadline? They got some arms in that bullpen where they could maybe go make a couple of little moves there. One guy I really like in the Orioles bullpen, let me go pull up his numbers really quick. Where is he at? I wonder if this guy could end up being a pretty decent addition for another team. Keegan Aiken. He has actually been really solid. I want to point him out really quick. I was kind of going, I'm setting up my, I'm getting ready for my, hold on one second. Let me share the screen. Getting ready for my one trade for each team by the trade deadline. And I was actually looking, maybe Keegan Aiken could end up being a guy, possibly. He's only got one option left, so I wonder if that could be anything. But he's actually been pretty solid. I would imagine he's not going to cost a whole bunch, but he's got some good numbers. ERA 2.02. Look at those innings, 35 innings. Man, 3.02 FIP. He doesn't walk a ton of guys. He's not striking out a lot of guys, but he's actually really quick here. If I were to go pull up here the pitching leaders, if we were to go to relievers, if we were to go to pitch value, Keegan Aiken has right now the second best value in sliders. He's tied with Edwin Diaz for the best slider when it comes to pitch value. So I wonder if Keegan Aiken can end up being a guy that ends up getting onto a team. Like he's kind of one of these guys you're not really thinking of. He's not one of these high profile ones, but I mean, that could be a nice sneaky little ad at the deadline. But anyway, just wanted to point that out because they got these guys in that bullpen. They're really good. So as for the record, I mean, I think they'll flow around there. They're, we've given myself and you, we've been giving the Orioles praise this year. They've, bummer with Grayson Rodriguez. But that was a real big bummer, man. I was really waiting for him to come up, and then he ended up getting a lat strain, and he's going to be – hopefully he's not out for too long. But you never know. With someone like that, you don't want to push that. He's probably going to end up missing like maybe a couple months. And by that time, it's like, do you want to push him? Maybe just wait for next year. Maybe just have Grayson Rodriguez show up spring training next year. And then just try and win a spot in the rotation. I would imagine they could do something like that. So, but I think they'll float around in that. What do you think? Do you think they'll end up in the bottom 10, or do you think they'll maybe even finish higher than 20?
First off, I'm going to ask, can you hear me okay still?
Yeah, there were a couple of times during the stream you were cutting out a smidge, but no, you're good right now.
I just saw it was loading here right now on my end, so I'm glad you could hear me.
Yeah.
Con man, I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody so far with the questions. Great chat tonight. Will they finish with the 20th record or better? They're going to be right there. I definitely think they're going to be right there. If we're looking at the league, Oakland is going to be towards the bottom. National is going to be towards the bottom. Cincinnati is going to be towards the bottom. Kansas City is going to be towards the bottom. Detroit's going to be towards the bottom. So how many teams is that right there? Detroit and Kansas City, I think are going to be worse. Kansas City is 100% going to be worse. Oakland 100% is going to be worse. That's 2 teams. Nationals 100% are going to be worse. That's 3 teams. Cincinnati, that's 4 teams. The Cubs, maybe. Yep. That's 5 teams. Colorado, sorry, Robbie. That's 6
I
teams.
know.
Detroit, 7 teams. You're going to be right there. I think that's 7 teams that I have that are going to be like maybe worse, probably worse, or right around the same record. They could finish at 20 in the league, right around that. I think between 20 and 23
right now.
Huh?
They're at 23 right now.
Yeah, so I could see it between 20 and 23 at the end of the year. They have an amazing bullpen. I'm really impressed with the way their bullpen's been. I'm really impressed with a lot of the starters on the team as well.
Jordan Lyles, look out for him.
Taylor Wells too. Taylor Wells has been pitching well. You got
Jordan Lyles, I think, is going to be a guy trade deadline. I think you're going to see him. He, I think, would be a pretty nice fit for teams with a good defense because he has a pretty good ground ball percentage, pretty high. I mean, I think for a team like the Cardinals could be really good for him. Jordan Lyles, and I think he's going to be a bit of a guy who's going to get some attention because he's not expensive. He's not going to cost a lot to get. So look out for Jordan Lyles being like kind of a sneaky trade deadline kind of a guy, like Hap last year and Lester, like those 2 guys going. So, veteran kind of a guy. I will say this, just to answer the question. I think they're going to finish in the bottom 10. And here's why. And we were looking at this earlier. Let me share the screen. When we were looking at
League East all year, that's another reason.
Right. And, we were just talking about how the hold on. Am I looking at the right one? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to the right one. We were saying how the AL East is such a tough division. And if you look at the Orioles, they're tied for the second hardest schedule the rest of the way. The Rockies and the Nationals tied for the hardest schedule, and the Orioles, Marlins are the next 2 that are up. So I'm going to say they finish in the bottom 10. I think they make it a bit interesting. I just think that schedule is just so tough. I think they'll finish 24, 23, 22. I'll go there. So, hey, for Orioles fans, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. You want to get those higher draft picks. So, but let's get to the next hot takes here. We've been here for an hour and a half. Let's try and get these done here in the next 30 minutes or so. So,
man, real quick, I do see you did drop another one. Next year, it'll all change. Every team will play at least one series versus every team in the entire major leagues, thus have less divisional games. That's what I was thinking. I didn't think anything changed for this year. Next year, you're right. I think there is less divisional games, and that is what is going on. So back to Adam. Adam, your question. I think that's what you were asking. But yeah, this year, I think it still stays the same with 18 games.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Everyone is going to play every team, which I think is pretty fun, honestly. You get that get those matchups that you never see, like Red Sox, Cubs. I wish they could play each other more because you get that historical sort of thing to it. So I remember when the Red Sox and Cubs, 05, I remember when they played each other. That was like just a fun series. You never saw the Red Sox and the Cubs ever play. So remember that. Anyway, man, thank you so much, man. Dropping a couple right there. I do really appreciate that. So here we go. Let's get to some fun ones. We were very team heavy in the first half. Let's kind of focus here. We got some more players, and these are more player heavy in the second half here. So, Josh, this one is going to be a good one for you, and this is a pretty fun one overall. Big Fish 11. Aaron Judge will break the Yankees' single season home run record. Roger Maris holds it with 61. Aaron Judge is on quite the pace. What do you think, Josh?
Is he going to break Maris's home run record, the team home run record? I can see it. I'm rooting for it. He's got 22 home runs so far this year. We have played, what is it now? 56 games. Tonight was the 56th game. They lost 8-1. He did not hit another home run tonight. But 56 games into the season, he's got 22 home runs. He's been healthy so far. Knock on wood. He's been looking good this year. He's been healthy. He's been getting hits. He's been getting on base. He has been elevating the ball more than normal. 22 home runs. Is he going to keep up that pace for the rest of the year? I remember watching the clip of him before the year. He was taking batting practice saying, I'm hitting 50 this year. I'm hitting at least 50 this year. And I love that, man. That made me happy when I saw him cranking it and just saying, I'm hitting 50 again this year. I don't know if he's getting over 61. I would love to see it. What are the odds? If you're asking me percentage odds, is he going to break 61 versus not? At this moment, because, I'm biased. I'm sorry. My heart wants to say 60-40 yes, but my conservative brain on this is going to say no, he's not going to make it. I think it's going to be like 40-60, so inverse. I think he has a 40% or 35-40% chance of actually breaking the record.
Yeah.
But man, I'd love to see it.
Oh, how cool. So as of right now, he is on in a 162 game season. He is on pace for 63.6. Don't think he's going to end up. Well, he's obviously not played some games already, so you can't even say it's going to be on a 162 game pace. So let's just say 150. So he has 22. So they've played 56 games already.
Yeah.
22. So if you just said 150, he's on pace for 58.9. I'm going to say, I'm going to throw out a number. I'll go 54. I'll go 54 home runs. I think he ends up breaking his own.
I could see him in the 54 to 56 range.
Yeah. I'll go. Yeah. So I think 55 is there. I think it's there. He has to stay on the field, though. I think he will. I feel like that was the big talking point with Judge. Obviously we knew how good he was, but could he stay on the field? And I think he's past those days. Where I think they've kind of figured it out to keep him on the field. So I don't think he breaks it.
Center field. He's playing a lot of center field, which is a taxing position. Yeah. Which scares the hell out of me, but
it is. Yeah. But I think there will be some kind of a watch at the end, like, oh my God, can he break Maris? But I think in the end he'll fall short. I think he'll be 50 to 55, like you said. I'll go 54. So that's my number. But let's move on here. Let's stick with the Yankees. We have not just Judge doing well. Everyone's doing well on this Yankees team except for Roldis Chapman. But it's funny. It dawned on me the other day. I was like, hadn't heard of Chapman in like so long.
He's
And
hurt.
like I just saw, I obviously you're seeing all these other guys in the Yankees bullpen, Holmes, King having great seasons. I don't know what it was. I just completely forgot about Chapman, and I'm just like, I guess he's doing all right. I don't know. I haven't heard anything bad. It was like I hadn't heard anything bad because I feel like you only hear about Chapman when stuff's going wrong. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm guessing he's been doing all right, and didn't even see that he was out with the Achilles. Didn't even see
Achilles tendonitis.
Yeah, so hopefully, man. Anyway, but with the Yankees, next hot take from Ballin' with AC. Yankees have at least 3 pitchers from their starting rotation in the All-Star game. So I'll let you go of this because obviously this is your team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, on the pace that they all were just doing here in the last week, I would have said, yeah. Eventually, everybody's going to cool off. I mean, we saw that. We already saw that the first 2 games of this series. We saw Taillon yesterday throw 4 innings, gave up 4 runs. We saw tonight Nasty Nestor give up a couple runs before being taken out in the 5th. Guys are going to cool off. I'm going to say there's going to be 3 pitchers that are going to make the All-Star game. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be 3. There may not be 3 starters that are going to make it. I think you're going to see Cole. I think you're going to see Nestor. Taillon would be that 3rd, but right. I don't know if he's going to squeeze in there because I think out of everybody, he may be the one that may slip a little. Taillon with Nestor and Cole, just because they've had such a great start to this, even though Taillon has a better record right now, 6-1. As opposed to Cole and Nestor being 5-1.
Yeah.
But I think it'll end up being Cole, Nestor, and I think Clay Holmes is going to make the All-Star team. But those 2 guys out of the rotation. I think Taillon will just miss it.
Yeah, because if you're looking at the All-Star game roster, you have 32 roster spots, 20 position players, 12 pitchers. So, I mean, yeah, if you're just throwing a whole bunch of starting pitchers there, I think then, yeah, that can happen because if you're looking here at the rankings, I mean, these are Fangraph rankings, by the way. It probably would be better to look at Baseball Reference, which I actually will pull up here. Baseball Reference is always going to be the one to look at for pitchers when it comes to like voting and whatnot and rankings. Fangraphs,
just off of this, even off of the chart that's right in front of you, Verlander, I think, would make it over Taillon. Alek Manoah, I think, would make it over Taillon. Cortez over Taillon, Cole over Taillon, Martin Perez, if he can keep it going, he's probably making it over Taillon. Gosman, probably making it over Taillon.
Yeah, and here, let me pull up the...
And I love Taillon because when I went to go see the Yankees game a couple of weeks ago, he was the starter, and he was lights out. 8 shutout innings. I mean, just lights out. I love seeing what he's doing. But it's going to be close.
Yeah, here, let me pull up the American League. So as of right now, for the American League, when it comes to wins above replacement on Baseball Reference, Cortez is number 1. And funny enough, no Cole.
Yeah.
So actually, if I go here, does it do... how do I go to just like... Do they only have like top 10s on here? I always go Fangraphs.
I think so.
But they only have top 10s, really?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, so for the top 10, that's crazy, man. Martin Perez is number 1 in Baseball Reference WAR. That's nuts. But here, I mean, yes, Cortez is going. I think we can agree Cole will be there. Cortez is going to be there. And like you said, Taillon. I think, like, I agree with you. I think Taillon ends up missing out. He actually gave up a few runs yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah,
he gave
up, 4 runs.
Yeah.
First start this year, giving up 4 runs.
Yeah, I'm going to say no on Tyone. Well, did this say
from the
okay, yeah, starting
rotation?
rotation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was about to say 3. I think there's an argument maybe Michael King gets in
I think
as
Clay Holmes would be the third pitcher that would make it over Michael King.
yeah, Fangraphs loves Michael King like more than Clay Holmes, but Holmes his ERA is just so stupid. Um, with I'm looking at starting pitching here. So, okay. I know Holmes, his ERA is like what, below half a run? It's like 0.3 or 4, something like that. That's stupid. But yeah, I'll say no on Tyone on that. Definitely Cortez is already just like you want him there. I mean, you're just seeing all these like fun pictures of him just floating around. Like obviously his numbers are low, get him there, but you just want that kind of a guy to be there. He's a good story. He's got these pictures of him hanging out in the bucket hat, which is, that's the thing these days to wear the bucket hats. He's just a guy you just want there. He's just like a fun guy to have. People can just get behind him. Cole is obviously going to be there. But anyway, moving on. We talked earlier about how Judge was doing so good. How about a guy that has not off to a great start? A guy that hit a lot of home runs like Judge does. Marcus Semien from Nicky. After starting out slow, Marcus Semien will still finish the year with at least 30 home runs. So, off to a really slow start. If I were to pull up Marcus Semien's numbers here, no, it's funny because I saw some people talking in the chat the other day about Marcus Semien because his name came up sharing the screen. Marcus Semien. So right now, Semien, man, he's not living up to that contract. Only hitting 221, a 280 on base, 355 slugging. He's hitting better lately. Marcus Semien with him, you're going to get some good defense. So that's always going to help out his wins above replacement. But offensively, not too hot. So as of right now, so they're at 56 games right now. So he has 6. So if I were to do,
it's going to be like
he's not even on pace for 20.
Yeah.
So over a 162. That's not looking too good. So
I think he's just going to miss 30.
I think he heats up at some point.
Yeah, he's not gonna be anywhere near what he did last year.
Yeah,
I
do think he heats up, but yeah, I don't see him getting to 30. Could he end up getting like 25? I think 25 could be a little more reasonable. So he has been hitting well lately. We'll have to see. I'll sell on 30. I'll say I think he ends up getting to like, I don't know. What did Lindor end up getting? I mean, that's the kind of different players, but what did Lindor end up having? How many home runs did he end up having last year? He had like 17, 18? Something like that. I know they're different, but Lindor's been a guy who's gotten into quite a few in his career.
Nicky, he's been hot. I mean, definitely see how he's been in June, but
yeah,
he's gonna have some hot and cold stretches. I just don't think he's gonna get to 30. He might.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I just don't think so. At this point, I would say probably between 22 and 26 home runs on the year.
Yeah, I'll go 22. I'll go there. I think he does better in the second half. I think he's having that same kind of a year Lindor was having. Big money contract. This guy was a guy, he put a lot of pressure on himself. When he went to the Blue Jays, he came in with a chip on his shoulder. This guy was motivated, and he had a crazy year. And then he finally gets that big contract. I can see that, kind of weighing down on anyone. So, and then that you saw it with Lindor last year. So I think Semien is going to end up being fine. I think he ends up doing a bit better in the second half. I'll say he gets to 22 home runs. What's your number?
I say between 22 and 26. I want to throw in a bonus for Nicky. He asked this earlier in the chat, in the stream. How does Robbie feel about Mac Jones? Robbie does not like Mac Jones. Robbie is a Brady fan for life. And that's all I'm going to say.
I was like, Mac Jones. I'm like, who's that? Because I'm in baseball mode right now. I'm like, who the heck is Mac? I was like, is that a prospect? Yeah. Okay. All right. You want to shift to the Patriots right now? Heard he had a great first day of practice yesterday. So better watch out, everyone. Better watch out. Tom Brady, who? Who? Mac Jones. Let's go. Mac Jones
who.
to carry us to a Super Bowl. Josh Allen. Mac Jones is what I'm talking about. Jets don't ever do anything, so whatever about them. So you already got a shot there.
We'll see.
The Dolphins, whatever. They couldn't even win one with Marino, so whatever about them. And Mac Jones, man, he's gonna be great. He's gonna be fine. He's looking like he's in pretty good shape too. So anyway, moving on here. Let's talk about an underrated player. Jonathan Daza from Dylan. I always like these ones. Trust me, everyone. I'll see these little ones here. Jonathan Daza is the most underrated player in MLB. Okay, so when we're looking at Jonathan Daza, okay, let me hide that. Let's share it. He's not going to be putting up amazing numbers, but I see this argument. I really do. And here's why. This is a guy over 43 games this year. He's hitting 331. He's got a 390 on base. He's not going to hit for power at all. At all. He's got no homers. But he's got a 390 on base, 331 batting average. Could this be a guy? Could you end up maybe making a deal for this guy somehow? Maybe the Rockies want to hang on to him. But that's good numbers right there. Not the slugging, but I really like Jonathan Daza. And another thing I like about him too is he's got a bit of speed. Let me pull up his baseball savant here. Jonathan Daza this year, or actually, no, I take that back. He's not. Hold on.
He's got zero stolen bases.
I was looking at base running. I remember last year his base running on because Fangraphs has the base running stat. He had a good base running at one point last year. I don't know what the heck happened with him in the second half, but his base running did not end up doing very well. So I take back what I was about to say. That was about to be very silly. But if you look at Baseball Savant, got some good numbers here. I mean, exit velocity, no. But he's not a power kind of a guy. He's a contact guy. Look at the expected batting average. He's in the top 1 percentile. Ex-WOBA, top 20%. He is fast. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's in the top 20% in sprint speed. He's got some speed. He's just not really going to do a whole lot on the bases. And then with Fangraphs, actually, Fangraphs, that's what I'm saying. He does have speed. He just doesn't. He has not applied it to the base paths very well. Fangraphs, for his speed, they give him a 60, which is a very good rating. So no surprise there to see the sprint speed in the top 20%. He's a good fielder. He's doing the job out there. He's in the almost top 25% in outfielder jump. He doesn't strike out. He doesn't swing and miss a lot, and he does not strike out a lot. He does chase a little bit, but imagine if this barrel percentage came up, maybe in like the 50s. I guarantee his exit velocity, well, of course, his exit velocity and the hard hit percentage would come up too, because he's just not barreling the ball very much. But I know I know you like you like those high batting averages. You like those kind of numbers. I love me some batting average. I feel like, I hate that batting average is kind of falling off. Yeah, I love on base, but I love when guys just get hits. It's fun. I like when guys get base hits. So I could see you appreciating those kind of numbers.
Yeah. Do I think I do? Do I think that he's the most underrated guy in baseball? That's tough.
That's always, you're never going to be able to pick the one guy.
I think he's definitely in the top 5. I would put him on my list as far as the top 5 underrated guys. I think another one would be Benintendi, another fellow outfielder, very underrated, not getting talked about a lot this year other than just potentially being traded. I think and what you said, I love batting average. Sorry.
Yeah.
I will always stick by batting average. I love seeing guys get hits. I love seeing the 300 above batting average. I hate seeing guys hitting like 111, 160, 190, 205, and then on base percentage. I don't care. I want you to get a hit. Get hits. That's what I like. I like hits. So I definitely appreciate him. And I would say he's in the top 5 as most underrated guys in baseball.
What I like about hits is like when you're putting the ball in play, anything can happen. That's why yes, getting on base is great. That is huge. But when you put that ball in play and you got some runners on, error happens, something happens, anything can happen. When you put that's a great thing about putting ball in play. Speaking of Benintendi, as for the hot take, I agree. I do like Jonathan Daza a lot, and that's why I picked that one. So thank you so much for that. But speaking of Benintendi, I think he's going to be interesting at the deadline because there are some teams out there. He's having a really good. That's a great example. You said you don't hear about him. You would hear about him with the Red Sox, but you're not hearing a lot of. He's not going to give you a ton of power, but he's a guy that gets on base. He's a guy with a good batting average. He's going to drive in some runs. He's going to play some pretty good defense out there too.
And he's young. He's 27 years old.
Yeah, he's free agent next year, so he will be a rental. So he's not going to cost a whole lot. I definitely could see a bidding war coming out because when the price is low, that's when obviously teams can be like, all right, we'll throw in a little extra here. And then you can end up seeing a team end up giving definitely overspending a little bit on him just because the value I think when I looked on baseball trade values, I think he's worth around like 10 million, which is pretty good for a rental. So yeah, like Scherzer last year, I think his value was like 15 or so. He was going to be a free agent. So Benintendi with around 10 million, that's pretty solid. You're going to get a couple of decent prospects for him. So you got a lot of teams out there for Benintendi. One team that does come to mind, the Yankees, but I wonder where the Yankees would even.
No,
they like Hicks. I mean, they do. That is one thing. He has over a 350 on base. They love that.
I don't think they like Hicks. I think the contract is.
They just have to do it. Like, they're just working with it. But the on base is good. So he had a hit yesterday, I believe. I was watching that game. I think he had a couple
hits. Yeah, a couple of hits. He actually got on base with a walk.
Yeah, he gets on. So that is, at least if you got that, then okay. So another team. This one might be a surprise. I wonder, and it might sound a bit odd, like saying it right off the bat because they have so many outfielders, and it's also in division, the White Sox. The White Sox, they need some offense, and they got a lot of guys there that are just slumping. And, I mean, Vaughn's been good, but, Angel, oh, my God, I'm going blank on his name. From the Pollock. Pollock has not been really doing all that much. Robert, he's always a bit of an injury risk. Eloy Jimenez is out. I wonder if Benintendi could be a guy. And it's in division, so that might be a bit of a stretch.
I'll give you one team. I'll give you one team that I think you might like because you love this team. I could see the Mariners.
Yeah,
maybe
pretty good. They got some. They have Winker. They got that lefty bat. You can make an argument for them. The Blue Jays, they could use a lefty bat. Here's the thing about the Blue Jays, right? I don't mean to really. I don't ever want to bring this up, so I'm gonna make this very quick. Just the whole the vaccination thing. Like, I just don't know how that's gonna come into play. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into that, but that I wonder could be a thing. With the Blue Jays trying to make some trades, because it's just like if you don't have that, well then they can't go to Canada. So it's like they would be a great fit for him. They could use a lefty bat, but I don't know if he'll be able to play there. So again, I'm not getting into that, but that would be a team that would make some sense. The Brewers. Andrew McCutchen hasn't really been doing all that much. He's been slumping like crazy. Yelich, you could maybe move him to the DH spot. Maybe Benintendi could play with the Brewers, and they could use a little offense. So there are some teams out there, at least those ones off the top of my head. Right, I'd have to look a little more, but I could see, or maybe the Padres. Maybe the Padres could be a team. Like they've been clutch this year. They've come up in big spots. But their offense is still, as a whole, kind of lagging. I could see that. You could put Jerickson Profar more in the utility role off the bench, kind of get him some starts all over the place. He's been doing okay this year. But Benintendi with the Padres. So I think that could end up being something. And I'd have to look more into it about some other teams. The Yankees would be, could you imagine that? Like,
I just don't see it. I mean,
no, I don't see it really either. Just because he's the lefty bat, but could you just imagine, like, God, that would make you cry.
Red Sox prospect wearing the pinstripes.
Hey, They came together on the Ottavino trade, but that's with the Red Sox and the Yankees. Wait, what did I even just bring that up for? My brain just had a potato moment. I don't know what the heck I was saying. But
it's late.
It is late. It's 11 o'clock. Kill me. But what was I saying? Wow, my brain just went completely blank. But
Benintendi
the Yankees
is not going to the Yankees.
No, he won't. He won't go. I don't think he will. It would be fun though. Could you imagine?
I'd
going
like
to Fenway. I mean, it's happened before. Obviously, Damon, Ellsbury, Could Benintendi be the next one? So, anyway, but let's get to our last one. Let's end it on a fun one. I would say this isn't really like a hot take. I'd say a pretty normal take, but it's fun, and I like fun. So, Juan Soto, Justin Lamas, the eventual Juan Soto trade. You could say that's hot. He's saying he's eventually going to get traded. He could sign with the Nationals, but the eventual Juan Soto trade will be this generation's Miguel Cabrera, or that trade. Cabrera and Willis were traded for a huge prospect haul. Soto and either Corbin or Strasburg will be traded, and Soto will be available beginning summer 2023. So I think Soto is a free agent. He's not a free agent next year. He has 2 more years, right? That was the same as Cabrera. When he got traded, he had 2 more years until free agency. I agree with that. I do think Soto ends up getting traded. I don't know. The ownership is a little up in the air. You don't know what's happening there. I mean, but then you can make the argument, whoever buys the team, or if they do end up selling, they would probably want Soto. So you can make that argument too. I mean, geez, if I bought the Nationals and I was coming in, I'm like, I'm signing this guy up. I don't know what the heck you guys are talking about. This is the first thing I'm doing. But I current ownership, that's not really their, if they are looking to sell, that's not really their priority right now. So new ownership, yeah, sure. We could talk about it then, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think absolutely, I agree with that. I think that could end up I think he gets traded in the offseason. There's no way he gets traded. I did the video, trades that make sense, because hey, it's still a talking point right now. Where could he end up going? Because there was the rumor out there, there's going to be teams out there looking to make a move for him. But I don't think he'll get traded this season. I think if anything, it's an offseason thing. And I could see it this offseason. I really could. If Cabrera, I would say that's probably the most similar that you're looking at, because Miguel Cabrera had that control. He was really good. He was young. So that to me is the most similar kind of trade. So I guess I think we can both agree on that. But
I'm going to throw in a couple more. I'm going to throw in a couple more similarities. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No. Go.
The Nationals franchise kind of up in flux. Like what's going on with them? Obviously, you touched on that. The Marlins, as the Nationals just happened, just a couple years removed from a World Series when that happened.
Yeah.
Miguel Cabrera, 24 when he was traded. Juan Soto,
yeah, that's a good point too.
24. Couple similarities. I could definitely see it happening. I think that's probably to me, one of the best takes of the night. And if it does happen, it would be this generation's Miguel Cabrera trade. But I will say this, it's not going to be a rental. Nobody's going to trade for this guy for 2 years of control. You were going to trade for this guy just like the Tigers did, which, hey, we have this guy for 2 years and we're going to back up a Brinks truck on top of this guy and literally give him whatever he wants. So I don't see him going for a rental. I don't see him being like a Machado trade or something like that. This is going to be a team that's going to sign him and trade from him as well. I just don't see someone giving up a bunch of stuff for Soto for 2 years. Whatever team goes after him is going to give him a lot of money and sign him to a long-term deal, easily a 10-year deal, easily, if not more. Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah, and if we go back to that Miguel Cabrera trade, and that's why I like this, because hey, go back in time. I always like a time or a hot take where I can go back in time and kind of look at some stuff. So if we were to go back to that, I remember when that happened, man. That was like, those are like prime, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think 2003. I would say 2003. 2000 to 2008, 2009. Those are like prime years of baseball. Like I'm addicted to baseball now, but I mean, there are times where, yeah, maybe I'm not able to see a game here and there. Every night during those years, I was watching the game. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when that trade went down, I'm like, wow, Miguel Cabrera going to the Tigers. Like, that was insane to me. And here was the trade. And it cost a lot. You had to give up some really good prospects. I know Cameron Maybin and Andrew Miller were the top two guys. You had Badenhop there. I'm not sure. I know Maybin and Miller were definitely top three, but I'm not sure which one was number one. I think it could have been Maybin.
I think Maybin was number one and Miller was two.
Yeah, two. Yeah, I think these were 1 and 2. I'm guessing, was Badenhop a major leaguer at the time? I feel like he was, or at least he was in his first couple of years. Let me pull up his stats.
He was not. He didn't make.
Yeah, he was a rookie in 08.
Till 08, yeah.
So, yeah, these were top 10 guys. All of these were all in the top 10. Yeah, but Badenhop ended up doing a little bit. He ended up being a decent reliever, but not really, didn't really amount to whole. I mean, 2014 was with the Red Sox. He was actually really good that year. I remember that. 70 innings out of the bullpen that year for the Red Sox, or 70 games too. He was great. I remember that. But then he was flamed out after being with the Reds. I don't know why. He didn't do all that bad. What ended up happening with him? Did he get hurt? Did he have like a career-ending Badenhop? Did he end up having like a career-ending injury or something? He was decent that year.
2000.
He must have had something
last year. Yeah.
I don't remember. I can't go that far back. But anyway, yeah, these all of these guys that they got back were big-time prospects. So you're going to see that with Juan Soto. And I agree, because remember, they also put Willis in the trade. I think Willis was also, I think he was a couple of years away from free agency too. He might have been actually closer to free agency, because I think he was, no. Him and Cabrera were both 2 years away from free agency. So Willis definitely had value. So that made it even more, or cost more for the Tigers. Now, Corbin, this time around, way different than Willis. Like, way different. Because Willis was 2 years from free agency. He was not, he was in arbitration, so he was not making that much. He was making, I think, like, what, 8 to 10 million or something at the time. Then that was a good arbitration number. But Corbin now, he's making a ton of money. Corbin's value is negative just because of he's not performing up to that contract, and he's being paid a lot of money. So that is different. I think you're going to have to attach Corbin to Soto, because Soto is just like, I mean, you're not going to see a guy like Soto all that much. So, and that's why Cabrera, I think, is a very good comparison. I think it's the closest comparison that you can get when it comes to the age, the talent, the years of control until free agency. I think that's so you're going to see a trade like that. And it's funny because when you look back, ended up being that, Miller ended up being the best guy, but he ended up being a really good reliever. Thank God for that, because remember, like, he was coming up and he wasn't doing anything. He was injured. Yeah. I remember 2011 with the Red Sox. He was making starts and he couldn't do anything. Yeah. Then the bullpen, that's when he moved to the bullpen. He was lights out. So I remember that year in 2013 with the Red Sox, out of the bullpen, he was really good. And they were like, wow, we have something here. And then he ended up, I think he broke his foot in that year. So that was tough. But that was when you really figured out something with Miller. And then he found his role. And he was dominant. I mean, obviously, big piece in 2016 for the Indians. The Yankees, he was big. But, hey, what can you do? So Miller ended up panning out. Maybe not to the full potential that people thought, but he ended up being a really good arm in that bullpen. Maybin never really got it together. I feel like Maybin he had a couple of pretty decent seasons, but not number one prospect kind of seasons, or you would hope that guy would turn into. So I agree. I think that was just a fun one to look at. I do think Soto, if I were to, wooden spatula to my head, I do think Soto will end up getting moved. So, but that is it. We are through the hot takes, and that was a lot of fun. Really like that. So, Josh, any last words before we get out of here?
If you are still here in the chat, thank you so much, because I know this was super long tonight. Yeah. So I appreciate everybody for being here. A lot of great topics, a lot of great takes, a lot of great chat. So thanks everybody for joining, and thanks for having me on, Robbie. First night of hot takes with me.
Yeah,
I'll try to slow down on the talking next week. But
no, you're good.
It was good, so I appreciate it. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone for the super chats tonight. We got a few there. That's always greatly appreciated. Thank you for supporting the channel. It's always appreciated. And everyone, hey, thank you for sticking it out tonight. 2 hours. Yeah. And but what am I doing next? I will be live probably Friday morning for the Red Sox podcast. So just did my first episode this past Sunday night. Don't forget, you can always check out the Red Sox podcast. It's on the Believe Podcast Network. So that episode 2 will be Friday morning. I would do it tomorrow night, but they got a late game tomorrow night. So I'll just wait till Friday morning to do that. But everyone, thank you for coming out. Really do appreciate it. And Josh, thank you for coming on. First time on Hot Takes. It was a great time. So, but everyone, have a good night, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys.